A couple years ago, I had to block a brunch account on social media. You heard that right, a brunch account. There wasn't anything offensive about it, not hardly, but it kept popping up in my newsfeed and bothered me so much I couldn't take it anymore. On this particular page, each picture, although slightly different, was basically the same. An inviting mug of coffee and a pastry on a pretty plate, usually sitting on an iron table with flowers, the early morning sun casting golden light from a slanted angle. On the other hand, in that season of my life, I could most likely be found eating leftover Cheerios from a high chair tray and sipping room temperature coffee for my breakfast, wearing oatmeal-stained sweatpants and picking up toys after two small children. It was less than glamorous. I felt unusually bitter toward the faceless person behind this account. How nice it must be to freely enjoy a croissant and a latte daily for breakfast. I bet the latte was even hot. I finally realized that my bitterness wasn't doing me or the other person any good and blocked the account from showing up in my feed to preserve my sanity. You'll probably be shocked to hear that that wasn't the only social media account I felt bitter about. So many people with pretty houses, closets packed with clothes, and perfect family photos. They were killing it in their careers, seemed to know God on a much deeper spiritual level than I, and got regular date nights, girls' trips, and vacations. Social media felt like a mass of people who were living their best lives and had it all figured out. Meanwhile, I felt like the only one who was barely hanging on. Social media is a place where we can curate whatever image we prefer to display, no matter what is going on behind the camera lens. And we curate it too to fit our tastes and see what we want to see. But it's far from the only place we go to find validation and end up struggling with unhealthy comparison. We look for it in so many of the ways described above, in job success, in parenting philosophies, in shiny new possessions, in approval, in awards, even in good deeds or morals. Not that any of these things are bad in themselves, but again, when they become where we try to find our worth, when they become idols, or when they're the rulers by which we measure ourselves as we compare to other people, that's where we run into trouble. Perfection, as promising as it looks, is one of Satan's mirages. No one has it all together, no matter what we try to project. Yet we seek perfection because we desperately want answers to essential questions like, do you see me? Am I lovable? Am I acceptable? Am I enough? The world tells us that what we have and do dictate our worth. And if Satan has it his way, all we'll see are the areas in which we fall short, but where other people seem to be thriving. We'll miss the bigger picture, that we're all created in God's image and that we're all beloved by him. If Satan succeeds in that mission, then we'll question God's goodness toward us and move away from him toward our own shame and striving. We'll be less community-minded and more independent and isolated. God is completely trustworthy in everything. We can trust what he says about us, how he created us, and how he defines us. What I want to tell you today is this. We can't self-love and self-care our way into validation. We can't talk ourselves into believing how great we are. We can't find the answers through what other people have or are doing. The answer, again, is rooting ourselves in God, who he says we are and who we are to him. Need a perspective shift on this? Find scriptures about who God says you are, meditate on them, and remind yourself that they are speaking to you. Pray consistently that you'll see yourself and others the way that God sees us. And watch how your perspective about yourself starts to shift. God didn't make you perfect and doesn't require you to be. You are loved, you are beautifully designed. When we stop holding ourselves and others to a standard of perfection, we can accept our differences without lamenting what we lack. It frees us up to be who God actually made us to be and work in community, not competition.